Hello, hello, hello. Me and SAT Score are back with an information video, and today we're be going over what ship to get as your first coal ship. So this is going to be a general guide on how to spend your coal for your first coal ship, as well as your legendary commanders. Because I've had a lot of people, and I do mean a lot of people recently, ask me about what is the first coal ship I should get, or when should I start spending my coal on the unique commanders, right?
Mhm.
So, this is going to be a general guide giving tips and tricks on how to get or how to pick your first coal ship and when to get the legendary commander. So, let's hop into it. So, pretty much, if you're new to the game or you're first coming in and this is your first coal ship or your second and third, this is going to be like a general tips for you. So, when you're going through the list, there's going to be a lot of them, right? So, the main thing you're looking for, and this is also applies for doubloon ships. So, if you also want to spend money as well, you can, but you're looking for a ship that is going to benefit you on the lines you grind. So let's just say you're grinding the German lines, right? You're going to want to get a German premium ship so that you're able to, one, earn credits in a premium ship of the same line, as well as being able to switch your tech tree commander onto that premium ship for free, because you can switch commanders off and on these premium ships for free without having to pay commander XP. So you can farm commander XP to get it higher easier. So you're more likely to get a 21 point commander quicker doing that. So you're able to earn credits for the tech tree as well as farming commander XP. So for instance, if you're grinding down the Germans, the Strong Horse 43 would be a great first coal ship in that regard, right? So that's just an
Mhm.
example. So you get the Strong Horse 43 as your first coal ship. What is the next thing you should save for? The next thing you should save for after the Strong Horse 43 is either you can either do it two ways. You can either get another premium ship, sorry, a coal ship for the next line you want. So like say you want to get yourself a coal ship for the Japanese. You would then get the key. Or you could invest in getting the unique commander, Luchins, which is a very strong commander for the Germans, and you'll be using him a lot in higher tier matches. So very strong overall. So it's going to be a balance on how many lines you want to do and how focused you want to be in the certain regard. So normally after you get the first and the second coal ship is more when you can dive into more of like credit farming or fun coal ships. Like for instance, like a Napoli's a lot of fun to play. Really fun coal ship for the Italians. Uh, a trap coal ship I would highly stay away from is the Flint. As you can see here, it costs 168,000 coal, while the Sean Horse 43 costs 85,000, and the other tier sevens cost the same price. And the reason why it cost that so much is because it was originally a steel ship turned into a coal ship, so it's going to be more expensive. So overall, stay away from the Flint. Don't get that. It's not worth it at all. But for your first and second coal ship, try to keep it a little bit lower, around tier 7 and 8, so you're able to get them quicker. And you're able to get it quicker, so you're able to grind your commanders up higher, so you're not as much of a disadvantage at the middle and higher tiers when you do get up there. Once you get your second commander, you would then, sorry, once you get your second coal ship, you can then get the third. And the third, you can get like tier nines or tier 10s. And at that point in the game, you've been playing a few months, six, probably like 4 or 5, 6 months at that point. So you'll be on your, you have some time under your belt. You can then invest in like a tier 10, a tier 9 coal ship. I have videos on pretty much every single one of these ships that are in the armory for coal ships, so you guys can look them up individually because I'm not going to go over them today. But some standouts that I would recommend that are a lot of fun. Groningen is a very fun, very strong credit farming ship for the Dutch. Very good overall, and you'll make a ton of bank playing that ship. Kearsarge is probably one of the strongest tier 9 battleships in the game, not because of the planes, just because of the guns. The guns are absolutely, they're 12 North Carolina guns, correct, SAT?
They're 12 North Carolina guns.
Yep. Yeah, they're amazing. The Kearsarge is. What are some recommendations for people getting like their third or fourth coal ship SAT? Which ones would you recommend as like fun or good credit farmers?
Okay, I'm gonna go break it down by tiers because for the most part, I would recommend tier 9s and tier 10s.
Okay.
Uh, Let me go pull up the list here though. So for the let's go for the tier 9s then.
All right.
If you like a torpedo destroyer, Jaeger is a very good pick.
Oh yeah,
Especially,
100%.
yep, especially if you have Swirsky, in which you get a bonus to your reload time if you land 8 torpedoes. And I think it stacks too. So you
It
can, if
does.
you hit a lot of torpedoes, then Jaeger becomes a torp monster.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Then I would also, for other ships, if you want an easy to play kiting ship, Azuma would be a good choice. She has some extremely hard hitting HE. She actually has a lot of HP, and she has a fast heal if you get focused pretty heavily.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, let's see. As for the tier 10s, I would go look at Napoli because Napoli is a very tanky Italian ship with sap secondaries. She's a very common sight in competitive modes, but she's also still a lot of fun in randoms.
Mm-hmm.
Salem is a pretty good ship as well. Kind of like a Des Moines side grade. You get a super heal, but you trade the radar range, and you have to choose between radar and hydro. But other than that, she still has extremely good firepower. She actually trades a little bit better because of that super heal. And so if you like a close range monster and prefer a little bit more combat oriented playstyle, then Salem is a good pick. Then I would also recommend three more ships here. Moskva is another good competitive ship. Not as common as it's actually more common than Petro, just because Moskva is almost never banned. But she's commonly picked because she's a very tanky, can lock down caps with 12-kilometer high radar and 30-second radar,
Mm-hmm.
and she has some pretty accurate HE.
Oh
Another
yeah, she
pick would
does.
be Yep. Another pick is Trump. Trump is just literally Dutch airstrikes, but in destroyer form. So if you're playing like the Dutch lines, like Utrecht or the Golden Lou, and you just want to play like have airstrikes in your destroyer, then Trump is an easy no-brainer pick. And then, uh, let's see. And then if you're unfortunately playing subs and you want to play probably the most annoying sub in the game, U4501. As
Yeah.
much as I hate as much as I hate to recommend it, it is a good sub for sub enjoyers just because she's so fast underwater.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So those are my recommendations, but I think Bo, you probably would recommend you have like one destroyer you would recommend, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna do my tier 9 recommendations for like your third and fourth coal ship, and then I'll jump it down to lower tier recommendations for like the first time coal ship buyers. So for me, I think the Pommern is a lot of fun to play. They do a lot of tier 9 brawls, or like tier 9 or tier 10 or tier 9 and tier 8 ranked seasons. And Pommern does a lot of fun in those areas. It also makes a lot of credits in those modes as well, because it doesn't need to run a lot of flags to do well. So Pommern overall is a lot of fun, and you get that just brawl of like just going in, torpedo in. It's just a lot of fun to play. Another
Also
recommend.
does well in PvE modes
Oh
too,
yeah, it
if
does.
they have like asymmetric.
Yeah, it's an amazing PvE farmer as well. I forgot to mention that. That's an amazing one. Uh, let's see what else are there. We already recommended pretty. I already did my recommendations with the Kearsarge. Jaeger. I 100% agree with you. That thing is literally a torpedo monster. It does amazing in both PvE and PvP modes. Overall, it just amazing destroyer overall. Kearsarge does
Um,
amazing overall in any game mode. Um,
On the opposite end, you have Groningen, which is literally no torps all guns.
yeah, exactly. No torps, all guns. So if you're trying to pick between two destroyers at tier 9, Groningen is just your gunboat destroyer, does really well, and you have your Jaeger, which is the torpedo destroyer. So for tier 10s, my choices are going to be pretty much the same as SATs with the Napoli. Napoli's a really good choice. U-45, yeah, I have to recommend it. Yeah, I hate it too, but yeah.
But that's
Um,
just for sub
yeah,
lovers.
for
If you
sub
don't like
lovers.
subs, don't need to.
Yeah, literally just for sub lovers. I actually want to recommend the Hayate. Ever since they buffed the guns and that torpedo reload booster, Hayate is really good to play in randoms and ranked. Overall, it's a very fun ship, and that reload booster is really useful to control a flank. Or if you happen to be, close enough to shotgun someone, you could just drive up to them, nuke them, use a reload booster, and nuke somebody else if you're lucky enough. So it's really nice to do that as well. And
Hmm.
and I would say if you're more into a higher skill level of gameplay, the Marceau is one of my favorite destroyers in the game. It has 4 Colbert turrets on it. So it's a very strong, it's pretty much the shotgun of the French destroyers at tier 10. Imagine like the Kleber's more of like the middle to long range gun open water gunboat destroyer. The Marceau is more the mid to close range destroyer where it is just built to hunt destroyers and subs, which I love. The versatility, it's a lot of fun. Anti is also decent too at the DFA. It's a lot of fun to play for sure. So that's our recommendations for like your third and fourth coal ship. But let's carry it back down to the our recommendations of like your first coal ship. So I recommended earlier the uh
R43.
yeah, the Strong Horse 43 is a good choice. I think the store. What do you? I know the Lazo is a good choice as well, being a first one. Really good cruiser, very fast shells. It also has access to that rapid takeoff spotter plane consumable, which is really nice. And the shells are
Hmm.
really quick, so it's really good for those long range engagements to keep you safe. What do you think of the Stored 43? Would you say the Stored 43 is a good pick, or do you think it's not?
Personally, not so much, just because Stored's a tier 7 ship. For destroyers, it's kind of an odd in between tiers where you don't get you get outspotted by tier 8s,
Mm-hmm.
but you also get outspotted by tier 6s.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird, awkward thing in terms of concealment. I'd rather go down and get something like the Eagle,
Mm-hmm.
the for tier 6, because you still have concealment advantage against higher tier ships, but you also have some respectable firepower as well.
Mm-hmm. So I was curious, would you recommend a Duke of York for, say, going down the British line first? Would you recommend the Duke of York? I know it's one of the very few British battleships with hydro, so it really throws people off. And for that
Hmm.
101,000 price, I think it's pretty decent as like a first coal ship. Kind of teaches
It'll
you
go
how the
down.
ways. Oh yeah, it is going
It'll,
down. Yeah.
yeah, it'll go down to 75K after the change, which
Ooh,
is
that's
when
really good.
Yeah, which is when people are gonna see this video.
Mm-hmm.
As for recommending the Dookie York, I would say it's not one of my strong recommendations. She's essentially a King George V, but with notably slower reload.
Mm-hmm.
But in exchange, your AP shells have improved bounce angles, and you get hydro.
Mm-hmm.
So don't discount the hydro or the improved AP angles though. Like if you see something that's broadside, even if you don't if it's a cruiser, you can do a lot of damage. If it's
Mm-hmm.
a battleship, sure you may not citadel, but it still should do a good amount of damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the slower reload off-puts the Duke of York quite a bit, and the King George V hull is not very good, unfortunately. So that's why she's not commonly recommended. And I would suggest Sharon 43 over her if it's an even choice.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you like British ships, you happen to like the King George V hull, and you want kind of a premium version with a slightly different playstyle, then honestly speaking, Duke York is fine.
Hmm. So for the Japanese, if you're going down the Japanese line, I feel like the key would be a great first coal ship option for you. And before I say, oh, why aren't you picking a lower tier one? A lot of the tier five and below coal ships aren't really good at making a lot of credits or good commander XP. So the tier sevens and above are where they start doing really good at credit farming and that commander XP grinding, which is why we're
Mhm.
recommending tier sevens and above. Like tier eight, tier sevens are good for that starter point for the coal, like for the first time coal. So tier sevens are good in tier
Essentially,
eight.
essentially, you're not putting as big as an investment as the tier nines and tier tens, but you're putting in enough an investment where you start to get to it's enough where you can start feeling out like, hey, I kind of prefer this kind of playstyle or this kind of line. But you're not. But if you end up not liking your decision, you're like, oh crap, I got set back 200 years on making coal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So the coal, sorry, the key, very strong AP salvo, also good HE salvo as well. Not the best accuracy, but still good enough to do a lot of damage. It does have torpedoes as well, so if you happen to drive by someone, you can torpedo somebody. So overall, I'd recommend that one. A lot of these ships, like the Key, the Stronghold 43, do very well in both PvP and PvE modes. So you can farm credits in operations, asymmetrical battles. What is the other one? Oh, flagship operations. Yeah, there's that as well, or co-op. So all of them do pretty well in that. The other ship I'm not as down to recommend is the Anholt. You can use the ship. I used to be way stricter on this ship in the past due to the fact it was only doubloons, but since they made it a coal ship, I'm way more lenient. The ship does a very well job if you build into guns, and you only build into guns and not torpedoes. You build, sorry, not torpedoes. You build into no secondaries, only main guns. It has very good HE and AP for the salvos. A lot of time, you're going to be sitting at very far distance, spamming HE, trying to get fires. If you happen to do a drive-by, you got torpedoes. You got like a 15 gun salute that will just absolutely devastate anyone that is near you. If someone's broadside to you and you shoot them with those 15 guns, they're pretty much dead. They're not gonna live. But yeah, that's it for the Anhalt. But yeah, those are my recommendations for like your first. The Pozarski, what do you think of the Pozarski for the Soviets as the we already talked about the Lazo. Lazo is really good. I'm trying to think of any other nation we're potentially missing because there aren't that many low tier options for
I would
coal. So
not really. I would not read the Pozowski just because her playstyle is not very easy.
yeah.
She's AP only, and the way the AP is set up, it's effective against broadside cruisers and battleships, not
Mm-hmm.
destroyers.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of struggles in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
It's a not an easy playstyle for newer players, so I'd recommend just getting something else.
Okay. All right. I think we should do while we're doing this. We talked about the coal ships. We briefly
Uh huh.
talked about the commanders. So let's circle back to the commanders. What
Hmm.
about the commanders that cost coal, as in not the legendaries, but the seasonal or the seasoned? Do you think it's worth it for beginner players to invest coal into those seasoned players that have those enhanced skills? Do you think it's worth it for them, or do you think they should save it for just the unique commanders?
These, so for reference, they cost 35k coal,
Yes.
which is actually not that much. I would say I would say if you are starting a new line and you plan on keeping that line for a while, definitely go get the seasoned commanders. They're not bad at all. And these skills, sure they look small, but they can sometimes give some significant benefits in close situations.
Hmm.
More importantly, though, I think is that they you start out with a 10-point captain.
Yeah, which is
That
really big.
is, yeah. For it's literally the difference between starting out at tier 6 with or without concealment expert, which is a deal breaker for most destroyers.
Hmm.
So battleships can kind of get away with a 6-point captain. I would not recommend it though. So until you get until you get one captain up to 21 points and you can start farming commander exp over and over, I would say go ahead and get a few 10-point captains with enhanced skills. Yeah, just bring him up the line. You're gonna play him a lot. You're probably gonna play him a lot anyways, but and they're gonna give you a lot of return on their skills
Hmm.
when you put them in the right ships. You'd only need like one or two though. So probably I would say one, and then go save for like a legendary captain.
Yeah, that's a very good recommendation. So let's do a final look at these unique commanders. Let's do like a tier list, right?
Hmm.
What commanders do you think are the most important to get, and what are the ones you think are more or less? To be honest, for me, I think Kuznetsov is like top of the list there. One of the most one of the strongest unique commanders that there is. And I think it'd be like for Cole anyway, because we're not talking about all the commanders, right? Because if anyone here that doesn't know, yeah, let's take a look here at the armory. You go over the campaigns, you can get Halsey and Yamamoto. Halsey is in the hit hard, hit fast, hit often campaign. Yamamoto is in the Yamamoto Izuraku campaign, which is there. The Italian commander, he is in the which can
Rapid and resolute.
yeah, rapid and resolute. I'm gonna show you guys in port. I'm gonna go over there. Just let me go find it there. And let's see, rapid and resolute. Where are you at? Right here. So you can get the Italian commander, Luigi Cincinnati, here for Cole. This, I believe, the cost of the commander is pretty much the same as a unique commander, correct? Of getting like opening
Yes.
all the containers is literally the same.
On average, you'll be about the same. Depending on your RNG, you might be off by a couple of containers, but it expected to be about 175k coal.
Okay. So also, the unique commander for the Pan Americans has come to the game, Lisboa. You can get that. You can complete that campaign as well, and that price is exactly around what we just talked about, it being 175,000. So you can get
Hmm.
that now in the containers as well. So I just wanted to show this to you guys because a lot of people get confused about those two commanders. So let's just circle back to the ones that you can get in the armory here. So let's talk about the commanders again. So Kuznetsov, very strong Soviet commander for Soviets. Does a very well job. Tanking overall, just amazing. You guys can take out all the skills yourself, but I think Kuznetsov will be first. I'm gonna do my order, and then SD can do his order. I say Kuznetsov, Luchins, Cunningham, Swirsky, and then Felipe would be my order. What are your order of like the most important to least important legendary commanders?
Realistically, I only have two tiers. So I would actually put Luchins first, and that's because most people tend to start on German ships first.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start on German ships first, you may as well just go. You may as well just get Luchins because he is the most versatile commander of all of them. He has something for every ship.
He does, which is very impressive.
Kutuzov is the best if you want to play like a Russian. If you want to play Russian ships, and if you play them in ranked, because if you play them ranked, that will to victory where you get free DCP and heal when you get to below 10% HP is the make it makes a difference between a close loss and a close win,
Mm-hmm.
which is to say you get a star. So, very good commander. Also, arguably the easiest get to get because will to victory. If you are close to dying, it can save you or let you survive one salvo longer,
Mm-hmm.
which can decide games, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and for the second tier, it's pretty much everyone else, and that highly depends on what lines you're grinding. So if you're planning to grind the pan-European line, then particularly the Holland, then I would recommend getting a Swirsky. If you're playing the if you're playing any of the British lines, then yeah, go ahead and get Cunningham. If you are, let's see, Santanetti. If you're playing any of the Italian lines, especially the cruiser or the destroyer, then Cincinnati is pretty dang useful for his activated talents. But ultimately, I think it just depends on which line you're deciding to grind next, or you're trying to grind right now.
Hmm. But yep, that is going to be it. Thank you so much for your time today, SAT. If you guys have any questions or concerns, let us know in the comments down below. I know we put in a lot of information in this video, so make sure you guys, if you have any questions at all, we'll do our best to answer them. But thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.